Hey guys! So the Hodgetwins recently announced that they are no longer vegetarian, and many vegans have already done videos on this, they've already touched on this, but unlike those videos, I am not going to discuss pretty much any of the things that they discuss in their videos. I'm not going to talk about whether or not they use steroids and that maybe this is why they lost size, not because vegetarian, but because they stopped taking steroids. I'm certainly not going to assert that this is true based on nothing, based on no evidence whatsoever. Seriously, vegan gains, others, it makes you guys look like whiny little bitches when you do this. Like, you just can't bear the thought that maybe, just maybe, they lost size eating a vegetarian diet for whatever reason. So it couldn't possibly be that they gave up meat. It must be. The only explanation is that they were using steroids. I'm also not going to talk about whether or not the Hodgetwins actually got smaller. I mean, it's really impossible to tell from, number one, they don't have any measurements from before or after. All you have to go on are photos, which can be extremely misleading, as they actually talk about in the video.
What they do is out angle your ass. Like Kevin's maybe, what?
Maybe an inch in front of you.
Yeah, about 2-3 inches.
Yeah, right? It's called out angling.
And a lot of times they'll do this. They'll take their fucking arm, right?
Yeah.
And they'll put that bitch close to the goddamn camera. Look how big my fucking shoulders look.
I mean, lighting and angles and all different things. And honestly, just going by the photos that they shared in the announcement video and the videos that they've posted throughout this time of being vegetarian and before, they look the same to me. But I'm not going to talk about that, obviously. Another thing I'm not going to talk about is how all these athletes can be healthy and fit on a vegan diet, because how is that relevant? Are the Hodgetwins athletes? No, they just want to look a certain way. And I don't see how referencing Frank Madrano, for instance, is helpful. I mean, he looks great, but he clearly has a physique that the Hodgetwins aren't going for. I'm also not going to talk about whether or not the Hodgetwins went back to eating meat because of a loss of views. It seems very compelling, given the information that Ryan from Happy Healthy Vegan shared in his video, that their views dropped significantly under 2 million for January 2016. But if you look at February, the views are back up into the 4 million range, 4.5 million range. So unless the Hodgetwins are just very bad at numbers, this theory just doesn't hold up. Finally, I am not going to lambaste the twins for turning their backs on their values by eating meat again. I'm also not going to lambaste them for shunning steroids for being bad for your health while at the same time eating and promoting meat, which is bad for your health, rather than just being as big as they can be, sans both steroids and meat. Instead, what I want to do is talk about this whole situation within the context of a recent article, very good article from one of my favorite vegan activists, Tobis Leenaert of veganstrategist.org. Definitely check out his blog. Disclaimer, I guess a lot of this is just going to be speculation on my part, but hopefully it'll spark some interesting discussion among you guys, both vegans and non-vegans. So Tobias's article that I'm talking about is called On Vegans and Vegan Meals, and the main point is that it's easier and likely more effective to ask people to eat vegan rather than to be vegan, to become vegan. So, hey, here, eat this delicious vegan burrito, rather than, hey, give up all of your favorite foods and completely change your identity right now forever. I believe that in the case of the V word, the nouns veganism, vegans are more problematic than the adjective, as in a vegan meal. The words a vegan or vegans and veganism are black and white or binary terms. You are it or you're not. You may have no interest in going vegan all the way, so the noun may not appeal to you. Also, if you are a vegetarian or a part-time vegan or whatever, you may feel excluded by the noun vegan. You don't belong to that group, and veganism doesn't apply to you. The nouns are very exclusive. They exclude you if you are not vegan. This is completely different from the use of vegan as an adjective in the words vegan meals or vegan products. If you suggest that a person have a vegan meal or buy a vegan product, you are not asking them to become a vegan. Everybody can eat a vegan meal or buy a vegan product. You don't need to be a vegan for that. It works much more inclusively. It includes non-vegans. Asking people to become a vegan is asking them, or is asking what sounds like, a change of identity. As Nick Cooney writes, the public may think of vegetarians as a distinct group of people who are different from normal Americans. That's not good. We don't want people to think they need to take on a new identity to cut cruelty out of their diet. Why? Because most people are loath to change their sense of who they are. If you aren't familiar with Nick Cooney, I highly, highly recommend his Science of Animal Advocacy presentation. I reference it pretty extensively in my response to Direct Action Everywhere's Got Dog Meat campaign spectacle, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, his presentation is free on YouTube right here, so please watch it. So I think Nick and Tobias's ultimate point is that it's hard. It's much harder to get people to try to adopt a new identity to become vegan than it is to just give Meatless Monday a try, for instance. Although we love to think of ourselves as special little individual snowflakes, we're really all pretty much alike, and we like it that way. That's the most important thing. Most of us don't want to be the only atheist in our group of friends, or the only progressive in our family, or the only vegan at the dinner table. We also typically really, really don't want to change who we already are or how we see ourselves. And while, going vegan doesn't seem like it requires an identity shift, a shift in identity. I mean, it's just giving up animal products. An ethical understanding of the term, it necessarily does lead to that. Becoming vegan for ethical reasons, or wanting to become vegan for ethical reasons, means that you now view your relationship to other sentient beings in a very different way, a way that we are not used to in society in general. And so you are likely now more compassionate, you're more empathetic, and your priorities in life have likely changed. It's kind of like having children, or so I'm told. Mothers and fathers will tell you all the time how different they are now that they've had children, how their priorities and their view of the world and themselves has changed since they've had kids. They went from mostly thinking about themselves and their relationship to this whole new living thing that they're responsible for. Now, I am not trying to generalize here. I recognize that there are some self-centered vegans out there who seem to be only interested in eating lots of fruit and permanent vacations in Thailand, but I think for many of us, this is the experience we have. When we go vegan or decide to go vegan or vegetarian, we change for the better, but sometimes it can be a rather drastic change. So how is this relevant to the Hodgetwins? When they put up that video saying that they're no longer vegetarians, many vegetarians and vegans were, even myself, disappointed. Some were sad, some were angry, and accused them of just doing it for views and for money. But it's important to remember that the twins say in the video that they are still going to eat plant-based. They're going to stay flexitarian. So they're going to eat mostly plants, but along with meat and other animal products. And I know this isn't ideal from an animal cruelty standpoint, but maybe it is. The Hodgetwins' approach to plant-based has basically nothing to do with identity and everything to do with diet. If you watch their 60-day vegetarian update video from about a month ago, all they talk about really are health benefits. They talk about having clearer skin and no more constipation and better sex or something. I'm not really sure.
Been plowing the wife, usually, There ain't
Plowing?
Plowing.
Yeah, you said plying.
I meant plowing. I've
Yeah.
been plowing the fuck out of that girl. Just got the nuts hanging out, Hey, man, come let's keep this shit nonsense. I mean,
Everything gotta be sexual with you.
my erection is strong. I'm like, oh, that's what that dick be looking like. That's what the head look like on that bitch too.
While they say that they now understand the vegan position as far as, animal cruelty goes, you can tell by the way that they talk about it in their announcement video that it doesn't really affect them so much, at least right now.
When we decided to go vegetarian, it was for, what do you call it? It was for all the right reasons.
It was
animal cruelty, all that stuff.
It was a emotional response
to an emotional video.
Yeah, it was an emotional response.
It was a morale. How you say moral? It was a moral.
Right.
We felt like we had an obligation.
Their identity is still 100% about being, big, strong dudes. Eating plant-based instead of, vegetarian or vegan allows them to still be that, to still basically keep their channel the same. They still talk about meat. They still do Arby's challenges. That's one of their latest videos. And at the same time, feel better and, yeah, by extension, promote less cruelty. In my eyes, this is more relatable because it asks nothing of no one. The Hodgetwins really present this as just a personal choice. They're not asking anyone to go vegetarian or vegan. They're just presenting what works for them. I mean, their tagline kind of says it all.
It's no really good.
Man, fuck it. It's no really.
Whatever the fuck you want to eat.
This reminds me of a recent question I got from a patron that I answered in a video only for patrons, shameless plug. And the person was asking about being mostly vegan, about eating vegan most of the time, but then having, you know, some kind of cheese or whatever, occasionally, or once a week or whatever, and asking if they could still be considered vegan. So I ended up talking about the difference between accidental and intentional cheating, like on a vegan diet. So, you know, the difference between accidentally ordering, say, a burrito that has egg in it, or, you know, eating Cheerios with tiny amounts of D3, and like going to the store to purchase cheese or to purchase eggs or something, and how there's a difference between the two. And in the latter case, you know, yeah, maybe go by mostly vegan instead of vegan. But I also said, you know, if you're going to call yourself mostly vegan, that may actually make you a better advocate for veganism just by making you seem more relatable and more approachable. Here is a similar example, this from another patron who's commenting on a video I did on veganism, again, only for patrons, shameless plug. Yeah, he was talking about someone, a vegan that he knew who loved meat, and this person got around the issue, got to still enjoy meat by eating leftovers, by being vegan. As schizophrenic as that lifestyle appeared on its face, her uniqueness made her hands down the best in-person vegan advocate I ever knew. People at parties were immediately disarmed and felt more like she was one of them, since she ate meat too. Instead of feeling attacked or looked down on, they were curious. Why wouldn't you eat meat if you like it? Meat eaters really wonder that. She effectively baited everyone she met into letting their guard down and getting them to question her about veganism. And the answer to their questions was always to organically talk about straight-up ethics, with people who were actually listening and reconsidering things since they were listening to answers to their own questions. It's impossible to dismiss someone's commitment to animal ethics, for example, oh, she's just grossed out by it, or I bet she's just trying to lose weight, bitch, while she's bonding with you about loving leftover bacon. It's basically the strategy someone would design if they accepted basic principles of human psychology and cared more about good outcomes and belief propagation, and less about signaling disgust, moral outrage, and status. A final example comes from Mercy for Animals and their article, The V Word, A Note on Terminology and Strategy, where they talk about their decision to forego using the word vegan in favor of vegetarian. At first glance, it would seem that the best way to help animals is to always promote veganism. After all, eating vegan reduces more cruelty than eating vegetarian or cutting back on meat. So it can feel like we are betraying the animals and maybe even misleading people if we promote anything less than full veganism in every occasion. But there is a big difference between how things feel to us and what the real-world outcome is for animals. We need to realize that when we are encouraging dietary change, we are interacting with human beings. And that means we have to account for human psychology. We need to craft our messaging in a way that accepts how people's brains actually work, not the way we think they should work. Right now, the best data from both inside and outside the animal protection movement suggests that using phrases other than vegan in our advocacy work is likely to spare more animals from misery. And then they list a bunch of data to support that claim, including their own internal study where they found that visitors to their sites were much likely to engage, to sign up for, you know, the email series or to buy the starter guide. They were more likely to engage when they used the word vegetarian instead of vegan. All that to say, I think the Hodgetwins going flexitarian rather than vegan or even vegetarian may work in the same way. I mean, let's face it, their audience is made up of mostly dudes who want to get big and strong, and these guys are very likely more likely to stick around if the Hodgetwins still eat meat than if they go full on vegan. I mean, just look at the comment section of their no longer vegetarian announcement video. These people are just so deliriously happy that the Hodgetwins are eating meat again. Of course, sticking around means being exposed to more vegan and vegetarian meals, assuming that the Hodgetwins keep posting videos like the Chipotle vegan, meal and the meatless bodybuilding, post-workout meal. Or maybe it'll just be more Arby's and Chick-fil-A challenges. So that's it, really. Again, a lot of just speculation on my part, but I really hope this will be a good thing. It seems that them going vegetarian, I've several people I've seen, someone who posted on my Facebook, and I've seen on a couple of their videos in the comments, people saying that they actually convinced them, the Hodgetwins convinced them to go vegetarian or even go vegan in quite a few cases. So that's pretty amazing. And so, you know, again, it can seem terrible on the outset. I think like Mercy for Animals, they stated very well. It can seem like you're being misleading or not presenting the right message when you don't promote, you know, full-on veganism. But again, it's a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow. And I think maybe in this case, promoting something that's more palatable to people, flexitarian or vegetarian or whatever, I think it may come across better, and it may actually inspire more people to change it, even if it's just because, you know, they're dealing with constipation or, you know, bad acne or something like that. Yeah, less animal products consumed is still less animal products consumed and less, you know, animal cruelty. So I think that's a good thing. Yeah, but I would love to know your thoughts. And also, I'm sorry this video came out so late. I intended it to be several days ago, but this may be a recurring theme for the next few weeks. So sorry about that, but I will try to get as many videos out every week as I can. So yeah, thanks again for watching, guys. I will have a new video very, very soon. Obviously, please share your thoughts and comments and questions down below. And if you want to subscribe, of course, subscribe. And if you want to support me on Patreon, you can do so at patreon.com/unnaturalvegan. You can also do it right here on YouTube. You'll find it on the right-hand side of my channel page. Thanks again, guys, and I will have a new video very soon.